Hello.
Hello. I guess I was mixed up with time and I didn't think I was going to be able to come, but guess what? Here I am
Yay.
driving home.
You look good in red.
Thank you. I just did my hair yesterday and then I'm thinking, oh, after I got it done, I was like, oh, I don't know that I'm following dress code. So I hope my principal doesn't say anything. He's not, I like him better than the other principal in the sense that he's not that formal. He's a little bit more relaxed. And we're not supposed to have color in our hair.
I
So
can't tell the color in your hair. I can't see it. You have red in
Right.
your hair?
I have a red highlight with chunks.
Oh.
You
Oh,
see.
now I see.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Ah,
that's not
And then
going to
after I
be
I
got
any
it
was,
done, I
big
was like,
deal.
oh, I hope he doesn't make me change it.
You know what? He won't. You know why? I was talking to my daughter about the same thing. Um, Nobody makes a big deal out of red because red is a natural color, even though that's not that natural. It's like if it's
Pink and
blue,
green and
purple,
blue, yellow.
green, yeah, stuff like that, then they'll make a bigger deal of it. But if you put highlights in your hair, he wouldn't do anything. So if you put red lights in your hair, it's fine, right? See, look at my hair. Nobody would be like, you can't dye your hair that color, right?
No, but yeah, and it looks gorgeous too. Well, since it's black and red,
I think it'll be just fine. It looks
I
gorgeous.
thank
Yep.
you. I hope so because I really like it. So I'm hoping he's not gonna say nothing.
and I was just talking about how good you look in the red shirt.
Thank you.
That's what I
Red
was
is one
thinking.
of my favorite colors. I love pink, but red is very. I feel very confident in red.
That's
It's like an
cool.
empowering color.
Hi, Elisa.
Yeah, I just
Hi. Well, I must say, I don't know if you can see, but I am growing out the gray in my hair. I decided that the Lord knows best. And when I said it to my friend, she said, but isn't it like the seventh time that you're trying it? And I said, yes, but this time I'm going to go for it. Because I actually, if you take it away like that and you see the gray, it actually goes beautiful with your skin and your eyes. So I'm embracing my gray. And isn't
Wow.
it, doesn't the Bible say it's wisdoms?
Yes.
Uh,
Wow. Well,
I've got good news. Can I
yes,
share?
please, please, please do.
You know this little mezuzah, can you see that I always wear
Yes,
around my
yes.
neck?
Mm-hmm.
I lost it 3 or 4 weeks ago. And my heart was so sore and I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere. And then I thought, it could be anywhere because when I wanted to put it on the day before, the whole thing fell on the ground. And I thought, what happened now? And I put it on again. So afterwards, I thought that I realized that it must have been loose. And so it could have been anywhere, in town, in the mall, wherever. And at first I was in denial, and then I thought, you know what, I must really ask the Lord. And I think about 3 days ago, I said, Lord, you're the only one who really knows where it is. Won't you show us, please? And today, when we were picking up my mother and father-in-law for our Sunday lunch, Rancho said, I must just push my seat a bit to the front so that everybody can fit in. And when he helped his aunt in on the floor, he found it. So it was lying there. And he said, he held it like this and he said, do you love me or do you love me a lot? And I said, why? And he said, look at this. He found it. Ah, and I was just so glad because it's so special to me. I bought it in Israel at the Jordan River. So it's got so much sentimental value. And I just wanted to say I found it. I'm so glad.
Yay, that's awesome. Very cool.
Mm.
So it looks like we're missing Dottie, huh? Kind of surprised. Um, okay. Well, How about let's start out, everyone. Let's just focus in the heavenly classroom, okay? And let's focus there first, and then we'll do some sharing and all sorts of things, okay?
And before we do, I've got sound. Have you realized
I
I've got
forgot.
sound?
Yes, that's awesome.
It's actually three wonderful things that happen. I think something in the spirit happened because I was very sick this whole week, and it's kind of happened last night. I was praying about something. Actually, oh, sorry, I'm just quickly going to share this. But the Lord sometimes show me something without me even engaging out of the blue. It's very unexpected, and I saw something, on those they call it stilts or those high things that people walk on with a
Oh,
funny
tilts.
face on top, something like that. I saw that in an area in Mossel Bay, but I saw it in the spirit. And I immediately knew it had something to do with ancestral spirits, witchcraft in other words. And what I usually do, that's just something that I always do. I visualize how I paint with Yeshua's blood bucket with this paintbrush, and I paint over it. If I don't know what to do, I just paint his blood over it. And it's as if something just broke. Because this morning I woke up and I was really feeling much better. I'm almost healthy. And then I found my mezuzah and I've got sound.
Yay, that's so cool. Good. Okay. Well, let's engage now, shall we?
Christine, I just got a message that Dorothy's in the waiting room.
Hey, everybody. Myrna and Dottie. I know you both came in late. We were just engaging the heavenly classroom. Okay. So pretty much anytime we're engaging at the very beginning, if you show up late, you can just count on we're engaging the heavenly classroom. Okay, that's always what we're going to engage first.
I did use my tactic that you taught me this morning, taught us that if you ever need an urgent message, ask the heavenly beings. So I said, heavenly beings, let her know that I'm in the waiting room. It was just for a couple minutes, but I figured you're engaging and your eyes are closed. And literally, 3 seconds after waiting just a couple minutes, I'm like, and I did text River in case she might look down to
River
see
did say
I'm in the waiting
something.
room.
So River was used by the Lord for
Well,
your
I said, let them know I'm here. Let them know I'm here. And then bing, wow, it works.
That's good.
But I apologize. My next door neighbor was telling you about our neighbor who went to the hospital last night, the emergency room, and for a heart attack, and another one next door that was 2 doors down from her, and one next door who went to the emergency room from a lightning strike Friday morning. And so anyway, she felt the reverberation, not struck by lightning, but she felt the reverberation, and she was upside down, and it felt like someone hit her on the back of the head. So it was kind of, I have a meeting right now, but I just didn't want to. It was one of those hard to be rude when you're hearing about someone. So I apologize.
It's okay. All right. So for everyone who was engaging, is there anything that you are getting? River says yes. I nominate River. Oh, you gotta unmute.
Okay. So again, I was in that same Valley classroom of heavenly beings and many, many, many heavenly beings. And this time it was like a launching. There were like these general sort of angels that were taking groups of beings and sending them off into tasks, into like missions or whatever. A lot of that was going on. There were some of the beings in addition to us that were just like kind of moving up to the front, that were still in a like an education time or a teaching time, but a lot of the beings in the army were being launched off. And so I asked Yeshua, I said, what's going on? And he said, it's a launching. He said that there's a lot of things that are going to be moving forward now. And then he said, and you think that because you're dealing with, like in our class, we're dealing with our issues with the school, like with Nydia, or family, like with me, or this, that, and the other thing. He said, you think that that's not part of the global change, but it is, because every time you turn your attention to me, whether it's in like engaging or in a situation where you're turning your attention to me to see to just for relief of the stress or whatever, every time you do that, it changes the frequency of the physical plane that we're on. And so yeah, just that's it. Keep going. We're not, I mean, even just the healing work that we're doing with ourselves, with our families, with the interactions that we have on a day-to-day basis, when we bring that perspective of heaven and the perspective of our Father, Yeshua and Ruach, into it, it's changing what's happening on the planet. So
You need to nominate someone.
I nominate Elvika.
I must actually quickly just give background. I shared with Christine, but not with the others. I think it was on Thursday. I'm not too sure. No, Friday. Not too sure. But anyway, I just felt that something wasn't right, and she mentioned that I need to, detach anything partnering with a spirit of death. And that was actually so spot on because I actually knew that for quite some time, but it's a mindset that you don't recognize immediately as a spirit of death, but the Lord revealed it to me. Because I will sometimes think, if I don't know about the future, I would think, oh, you know what, by that time I will be in heaven long ago, already, in stuff like that, different mindsets. And it's as if I really tried to intentionally break with that. And whenever my mind goes like that, it's different things that I would think, but the Lord showed me that that's actually what it is. Then I would focus back and try not to do it. And it's almost as if there was like a reset, which is so awesome for me. It's really like a huge thing for me because in that time when I went to my mountain, it didn't it when there was a fire and all the grass is burned and it looks like black, it looked like that. And when I was engaging now, I was on my mountain and it was as if it's new, it's beautiful, it's green again, beautiful flowers. And I think at first I thought it was a lion next to me on the left side, on my left hand side. And then I thought, is it the Lion of Judah? Is it the Lord? And then I realized it's actually a wolf, a white wolf. You think like I've got then also an animal because everybody's got one, and I never thought I had one. But anyway, I was on my mountain with this white wolf standing next to me, and I thought, but you said we must focus in on the class, and here I am on my mountain. And I think, well, I'm just going to invite everybody to my mountain. So everybody came, and all the heavenly beings and everyone, and it was lovely. It was joyful. It was as if, yeah, I could invite everyone to come and almost like celebrate and join in this. And that's the word that I also heard when I was standing. I was looking um, over, it's always like a valley or whatever, and I heard the word victory. So that's awesome for me.
Awesome.
And I nominate Dottie.
I happened to come in late, but I assumed when I wasn't let in. So the only part of engaging was that I was welcoming, like I did this morning for the 101 class, everybody from all the heavenly beings, all the angels and all the things. But because something happened this morning when I was engaging all the class, it was about a wolf. I just have to, because it was a wolf and a lion, and I don't picture wolves. And I just saw the front of, like the pointed wolf head. And then I saw it looked like a skunk because it was just like a white streak here. And then but I was praying about the angels, whether they could be muted or not. And they said yes. If someone said, oh, I don't know if I want to see the angels, because then you see the demons too. And that was me talking about me. It could have been other people. But then I saw this lion from the side, and he said, I'll give them my roar. So I don't know who those two animals were, but I never picture wolves. And so it was just funny that you said that. So he gave them a roar, and I think it was helping the angels have a voice and being willing to, because I know I'm still like, I don't want to see the demons. I know I've felt the realm 3 times, in my life where I just knew that I knew. One was nursing. So we're talking 31 years ago because it was my daughter. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty cool.
You just muted.
And then when just because it was at the end, when I got back to the, because I sat away while I was engaging. And when I got back to the computer, Raindrops on Roses came to mind. And I don't know why that happened, but I love Sound of Music. Yes.
Cool. All right, Dottie, would you nominate someone else?
Yes, I nominate Amanda.
Hello. Okay, so I've been having technical difficulties.
I've noticed you've gone in and out like 10 times.
I know. I don't know. It was my phone and then it was my headphones. So I had to switch back to my wired. And then my dog was barking when she nominated me. It's like, I don't know what she's barking at. So what? Hold on. Hold on just a second. Mute for a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So
Your
what I
mic
saw.
must be wonderful. We can't hear the dog barking.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, what I saw was like we were all like in this huge courtroom and we were all brought to like attention and told to be quiet and to listen to what the Father is telling us. And I kind of felt like that there was some judgments coming that we would be a part of. And that we really need to listen to what the Father was telling us and continue to engage with our families in our areas for provision and protection. And let me see. And I saw like a main highway going down like the Gaza Strip, and I saw some limos and they had flags on them from Israel, and it was like the president was in one of them, and they were just driving down the Gaza Strip, and it was like, it didn't look like there was war there. It was restored. And that's what I saw.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, who do you nominate?
I nominate Myrna.
When I was engaging, I actually went into a room. I seen a room, and when I was going in there, it looks at first it's like dark and it's got cloud. And I said to the Lord, "Do I need to be scared?" He said, "No, just keep going," because the way it looked. So when I kept going, it actually looked like a sparkly sky. It's just like dotted. And I said to the Lord, what's going on in here? What do I need to receive? What do we need to receive? And I felt like it's things like we need to receive into our body. It's like power and glory, and it's like particles into particles. You know how it goes into dots, like things when it gets separated and it goes into dots, but this actually part of power and God's glory that he wants us to actually absorb into our body. And it's got something to do with expanding and growth for us in there. And yeah, so this actually, it makes us expand and grow. It's got something to do into the mind, because I felt my mind is just actually going that way, like expanding somehow. It's just like the Lord is doing something inside of us. And yeah, and it is so important for this time, what he is doing for us. That's what I actually saw.
Can we just take a moment before we go on and let's just engage that? Can we do that, please? With if we're all
Yeah.
supposed to engage that, I feel like I need to have a moment, at least for me, to just focus in on that and engage that, expanding and taking those particles in. Okay. Okay, so let's just take a moment. Okay. When you're done, why don't you just focus back here?
I forgot something too at the end. It actually whirlwind very fast, but then it actually separated and became 5 and 6. Like it was fast, but with these particles as well, and it became 5 and 6. I'm not sure if this is 5 and 6 is individual of us, all of us, because it started with one, but with still in that particle as well. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, Myrna, would you like to nominate someone else?
Nydia. Nydia there?
Thank you. I actually saw opal. I think I don't know. Is it because it looks more of the seashell color that it sometimes has inside? So I saw that and then I was like, okay. But I just saw it. I didn't see like a specific item or anything. And then I saw cherry blossoms. And I was like, we're in fall. At least in my end. I love cherry blossoms a lot. I think they're so pretty.
Just the flower in itself is pretty with a white backdrop. Then I saw a bison and I was like, Dottie, I see your bison. And then I was like trying to, yeah, let me see. So cute. Yeah, yeah. And he was just there because so then I was just like thanking the heavenly beings for being here and for partnering up with us and to like amazingly, especially for me, like they're just so amazing and helping me all the time. And I see them at hard work, and so I was just thanking them for that. And so then I saw the bison and then I saw myself like just caressing his fur, all fuzzy wuzzy and just comfy, you know. And then I thought, what does the bison represent? And I felt freedom, like it represents freedom. And I was going to ask Dottie, what does the bison represent? So maybe you need to remind me. But what I got was freedom. And I was like, oh, I actually was thinking about feeling free this morning, free in the Lord, not burdensome for one thing or another, just like free, not like, well, free from religious spirit, if that, just free. And then I also got that he represents strength and actually gentleness at the same time, like just a gentle heart, just gentleness. So maybe Dottie, you can help me some more as far as what the bison represents. So anyways, I ended up spending some petting time. I don't know. I hope I'm not being disrespectful by saying petting time, because I was caressing his fur and just admiring his fur. So that was what I got.
That's awesome. Okay, now did everyone go? I feel like everyone went. Is that true? Yes. Thank you for knowing better than me.
Except you. So Nydia nominates you.
Well, I have a lot to add, I feel it. So Dottie said strength and unity, abundance and prosperity, especially in white buffalo. And so they're just, white buffaloes are much rarer than the brown buffaloes.
They're white. Their fur is white?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So oddly, I often see a white buffalo in the spirit. But when you were talking about freedom, especially with the bison, I don't know if you guys know all this, but I'm from Kansas and we learn everything about this stuff because we're from the Great Plains. And so in the Great Plains is where all the Native Americans were, right? Before basically all the white man took over, and it's terrible. But anyway, one thing that we learned and over is how the Native Americans, they were totally free. They were they just roamed around and they went wherever they were led. They paid a lot of attention to nature, and they always talked about the spirit of the wind and the spirit of this and that, right? And for a long time, I did not appreciate these things. So I came from a town that is highly Native American. It's called Medicine Lodge, and it's because on the Medicine River there was a medicine lodge, and it was basically like, a doctor for the Native Americans, if that makes sense. But we always learned that the one thing the Native Americans did is they honored the bison. They honored the buffalo so much. It was the main thing that they used for everything. So they would kill a buffalo and use every single part of the buffalo. So the horns, like everything, every bone, every part of every organ, everything was used. They used the hides for blankets and teepees and clothing. I mean, everything. It was like awesome. And how they did that created this amount of freedom for them because they were truly living off of the land, and it was just different. So it's interesting. The Lord has been showing me so much about how he's going to bring us all back to the basics, and how it's going to be freedom, even though we're scared of it. We're okay, maybe this is just me. I'm not a farmer. I don't know how to hunt. I really love my sleep number bed and air conditioning. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, this is me. I'm spoiled. And I know I'm spoiled. And so these things really kind of scare me. Like, I trust the Lord more than I trust fear, right? But going back to the basics seems scary to me, but he keeps showing me how it's freedom, how it's complete freedom, and how it's how we were meant to be. Just like the squirrels. I think of the squirrels all the time. I don't know why, but he brings me back to the squirrels. Do you guys all have squirrels where you live? Yes? Okay, good. I don't know, because I know I go to just a different part of the country and the squirrels look really weird. So, um, um, here we have the auburn colored squirrels, really fluffy and chubby, and they run after each other all the time. And it's really cool to watch them be so free, and they store up the nuts and everything for winter, and it's just so cool. They're pretty interesting animals. They are a little annoying too. They've gone and destroyed my lawn furniture, but they just live their life. They go and mate with whoever they want to mate with. There's no like condemnation, and you know what I'm saying? Okay, they're just free. They're free birds, right? Dottie, look at you. It's so cute.
You said there's no condom, and then you said nation. They just mate with whoever
They
they want.
also
and there's no
don't use
condom.
condoms. Okay. They're free. Praise the Lord. We're all adults here. So anyway, I love this about the squirrels. They're just like, I think about it all the time, and how we have like made all these rules for ourselves, and wonder how we're going to get all of our bills paid, and all this stuff. And the Lord just provides for the squirrels whatever they need. It's cool. And there's like a natural process, and it's awesome. They don't have all these religious rules that people put on them. They don't have any kind of wondering if they're going to survive. They're just playing around. I mean, do you watch them play? Do you ever guys watch the squirrels play? They just run after each other, chirping at each other, and it's so funny to watch them chase each other. And I love that. Anyway, the whole point is freedom. I really believe that the Lord is bringing us back to this place of freedom that's very different, and I do think the bison represents that. And I think that what we need to remember is everything that the Lord leads us into, no matter if it seems like the destruction of our cell phone life or whatever, that these things are truly not free. It's not making us free. We think all of that gives us freedom, but actually it spoils the heck out of us. How many times, like, I'm just going to put this out here for us mystics. If we didn't have cell phones, we would be way more apt to learn to communicate in the spirit. Wouldn't we? We'd be like, well, I better meet up with River in the heavenly realms because I don't know how to get a hold of her across the nation. That's what I would think. Now, would everybody think that? No, because not everybody is focused in the heavenly realms, but we are. And so we know if we want to be really free, we better start practicing the things. We better start going, okay, this is how we're supposed to live. Let's practice these things. If these things are coming, we shouldn't be afraid of them like me. We should go, okay, how can I prepare for this? How can I be prepared how the Lord wants me to be prepared? And so I was thinking about River. I know you just went off camera, so I don't know if she's listening or not, but I met with River earlier this week just on a whim. She really was like, I need to meet with you right now. And so I met up with her real quick, and we were engaging over some other stuff that had to do with other things she's involved with. And River, are you there? I just want to know if I can share this. She's not there. Oh, well, I'll do this. I'll shift gears and share about my own life.
No, I'm here. You can share whatever you want to. I just had to go to the bathroom. So
That's fine. That's fine. I just didn't know, okay, can I share about finance stuff?
you can absolutely share about that.
Okay. All right. So she very briefly shared with me about finance stuff, only because she had to. And this is generally how we all live, right? Who here shares with each other about all your financial woes? Like nobody does that. Okay. Maybe I do more than most people, at least in this group. But so River was going to put in a Mary Kay order, and then all of a sudden had like this giant payment come out of her bank, and it's like one of those oh crap moments, right? And but that wasn't why she was calling me. Okay. She was calling me actually because of assembly stuff and just needed to make sure decisions were good and all this stuff. And so but then I was like, oh man, the Lord has been doing a work in my life. And so I am thinking we need to engage about your finance stuff. And she's like, oh yeah, I guess we could do that. And anyway, as we started engaging about it was so very simple, but awesome to me anyway. I hope that you felt the same way. I know she felt this to an extent anyway. But just immediately after closing my eyes, I saw her ask Yeshua to sit on her throne over her finance mountain. And the interesting thing was, I've seen other people and myself like ask him to take over my complete mountain when I was not okay, just so the enemy wouldn't take over my mountain, right? And so he always does a better job than me anyway. But, it's this whole like, I'm giving up my responsibility because I'm not in a good place to handle it. And so that's the only reason or anything I've seen that happen until this moment. And this was not a desperation sort of thing. This was just this is what she was supposed to do. And asked Yeshua to take over the throne on her finance mountain. So he's governing her finances, and she is able to just give it over to him and give all the stress over to him. And so this may mean nothing to you, but just a few days before that, I don't know when it was, but last week, I may have told you guys about this, but I don't know. Did I? No. Okay. So, I was really struggling with finances because I was expecting a much bigger payment than I got. Over the summer, I had really terrible finances because the school was not functioning. I had the 201 class, but the 201 class was only Elvika and Amanda. And Elvika is an intern. Okay. So I don't know if that's what we call it, but that's what I call it. Anyway, So she's doing all this other work for me, and Amanda was the only one who was paying over the summer. So this may mean nothing to you, but this means my paycheck was like in the gutter. Okay. But the Lord said to do it. So I'm like, whatever the Lord says, I'm doing no matter what. Fine, cool. So I knew in the fall I'd be able to catch up on some bills. So fall came and this month came, and not everyone paid who was supposed to pay. And I'm not just talking about in here, like I have these 2 classes going on, right? And so anyway, whatever happened, I didn't have what I thought I would have, and therefore still can't pay my bills. And I was really stressing about it. And I was mentioning something to my brother-in-law, Jason, about it. And I engage over his business all the time, and we've been seeing like fantastic breakthrough and all of this stuff with it. And so he was like, he didn't tell me, but he said that he engaged over me and my finances to try to help me, since I'm always helping him. Except for he saw Yahim, and that he was supposed to engage over me instead for it. And so I was like, okay, that's weird, but fine. And so I talked to Yahim about everything. Now, Elvika, you'll understand this, and you'll understand it even more. He lives in a township. Okay. So um I look to him for finances. Okay. I'm in America. Everything here costs like 1,000,000 times more. And so am I going to look to Yahim for finances? No. I love him for many other reasons, but not for financial reasons. And so, anyway, I had not really shared much about finances with him because of that. And I wasn't trying to keep anything from him, but I, in my mind, have not like thought of him as provider. So, anyway, but the Lord said he was supposed to engage over me for it. So, okay, I tell him about everything, all the money that I owe, all this stuff. And how I didn't know how my bills were getting paid this month, and I didn't know how we'd have food for the month, and all this stuff. And I laid out exactly the amount that I was just being totally transparent about everything that I needed. And as we started to engage, the Lord showed me that now this is before I engaged with River, right? So he showed me that he put Yahim in charge of my finance mountain, and he was supposed to govern my finance mountain. And I was supposed to go basically as a queen and ask the king for what I needed, because the king has all the resources of the kingdom, right? And so, and I know the way that he's governing is he gets all his resources from the Lord, right? So this is like, oh, this is new for me. I've never had anyone do this for me. I didn't even know it was a thing, because I've been governing my own finances my whole life. Like, I was married to Dustin, but he was not governing finances. I was doing all the finances in the family. Everything was on my shoulders. If we needed extra money, I hustled harder in different areas, right? That's what happened. He just went to a 9 to 5 and came home. And so for me, I've never had anyone governing that. So it was a brand new thing when the Lord showed me that with Yahim. I truly gave it all over to him, and it was like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. I was just like, I don't have to even think about this. Like, you mean I don't have to actually think about this and worry about all this and ask for everything to be released and govern all this stuff? It was like huge for me to just be like, here you go, buddy. And I felt bad for him, because I'm like, I know the way, right? And so, but that's what I did. And he was so excited to do this. Like, yes, he is like, yes, I would love to govern this. I would love to release finances over you every day. Well, let me tell you, it has been miraculous. Like, ever since then, I'm getting people donating money to me that I've never heard of, and I've never asked for anything. Like, where is this coming from? I have no idea. And he doesn't know either. Like I said, are you telling people to, because I had this weird African name, like donate. It was only like $75, but that was a big deal to me. Okay. That covers one of my bills. And so, anyway, this person, some weird African name. And I'm like, he must have told somebody to send me PayPal money, because how would someone get my PayPal? And so I'm like, Yahim, did you tell someone to send me money? And he's like, what are you talking about? This just keeps coming. I have deposits in my bank account, deposits in my PayPal, deposits in my Venmo. Do I still need a lot more? Yes. But this is happening because he is like governing this for me. And so when I saw this with River, I was like, how have I not known? Of course, I should have Yeshua doing this over my life, like this whole time, right? But River is in the same situation as me, except for she's having Yeshua do this. And that was and so she gets to just give it all over to him, and he gets to deal with the stress fit. Like he gets to deal with how it's going to manifest. He gets to deal with how all that's happening, which is so cool. And so for me, that was just a huge confirmation, eye opener thing. And we've been talking about manifesting. And today I told you we would do a part 2 on manifesting. Do you remember this? Hopefully you do. Okay. So we're doing part 2 on manifesting, and we're going to talk about these things that are like way bigger. Okay. Yes, we need these manifestations in our own life, right? But we need to be the conduits to help manifest these things too. And so the cool thing is all of these angels, who was it? River, I think, who saw these angels being launched, right? I want to talk about a little bit more of what I'm going to talk about in South Africa. So, Elvika, I feel very sorry for you. If you come to this event that we're having there, you're going to hear it again, probably. Just so you know. Who knows? The Lord always changes things up. Maybe not. But I'm just going to go straight into this, you guys, because I feel like the Lord has got me on a roll. You understand? And so if you have questions or anything, of course, please raise your hand. I'm not looking at the chat. I can't look at the chat and talk at the same time. It's not good for me. So I have told you about all the electricity stuff, right? Do you remember how I get this electricity in my body? For my whole life, I've used it in healing, just as the Lord leads, right? He says, okay, touch Myrna's head. So I'm like, okay, I touch Myrna's head and I feel the power going through my arm into her head. And I know for sure she's going to be healed, right? And so that's how it has worked for a long time. Then I started having all of these pains all over my body. And I didn't know what to do with it. I was just like, what's wrong? Why is this happening? What do I need to do to get healing? And the Lord started showing me, yes, there were these certain things to do, but that it wasn't just about me. So I was feeling these different pains because his power was building up in me. And it was causing illness because I wasn't releasing it where it should go. But I didn't know it until he told me, because I'm not good about seeking things all the time. And so anyway, he shows me, okay. And I'm like, well, how do I do this? What am I supposed to do? And he showed me, like, if my hand's hurting, I release it through my fingers. If my belly is hurting, I release it through my belly button. If my knee's hurting, I release it through my toes. If my head's hurting, I release it through this top part of my head. And there are different places in our bodies that are like, there are energy hubs. There are these places to release and like openings, kind of like, how the Lord said that out of us will flow like living water through our bellies. This is a real thing. So for years, I was doing this before I even understood engaging. I would go into a big like we'd have these citywide worship things and prayer meetings. And so I'd go into one of them and I could just feel like presence wasn't very strong. You know what I mean? It needed something. And the Lord would just have me expand my spirit along with Holy Spirit out of my belly over the whole thing and just expand my spirit over. And what would happen is everything would, it's like the whole, all the presence in the room would come up and everybody would be powerfully in worship or in prayer or whatever. It was different. And he just showed me to do that. I was doing this all the time. That was just something that I knew I was supposed to do. So he had me do it in little gatherings. He had me do it in big gatherings, but I was constantly expanding my spirit doing that. And I didn't even really understand what I was doing. I just knew somehow I was kind of letting everything flow out and get big. and and so I just did that whenever I was led, and that's it. And then when I started engaging, he started showing me I was expanding my spirit over everything, and I was bringing the frequency up. But I didn't understand all that. I was just like, well, whatever you say, Lord, let's do this thing. And so um he started showing me these things early, but now he's showing me more detailed on what I'm supposed to do. And when I don't understand it, so by the way, there are these angels. I have these 3 angels that help me with the power stuff. So you will have angels assigned to these manifesting things. Okay. No matter what it is and how you manifest things, you'll have angels or other beings. I know I have angels specifically for this who are assigned to do this. And so what happens is when I release this buildup of power, of electricity, of energy, and all this is energy that's flowing to me from the heavens and then needs to go through me into the earth. That's what's happening. And so this will happen to you no matter what, even if it's not with energy, although I believe probably it will be with everyone because I've seen how he's put certain amount of power and energy in everybody. And so that's what we're made to do. But what will happen is, have you ever like been in worship and you're like so in worship, you're like getting filled and you feel like a complete drunk or something like this? A lot of people have felt this way. Let me just be completely honest. I don't feel like this. I sometimes get a little tiny bit of it, like as people would say in the earth, a buzz. Okay. I might get buzzed in this period, but I don't feel like that. And the reason is because early on, I learned to be a conduit. And so what happens is when I feel the power coming, I release it. That's why I just said earlier, just now, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go right into this because I feel the flow. It's because it's coming into me and it has to go out. Like I cannot hold it. It's not right for me to hold it. It's like if I hold it, it's just for me, but it can cause literal disease because it's not meant to stay in just me. It's supposed to come out. And so if you feel, say, drunk in the spirit, I'm not saying it's bad to feel drunk. I'm saying this is your cue to open up and let it flow out. However it is, whether it's silently or being crazy or whatever, I don't know. Everybody has a different way. It might be laying a hand on somebody and letting it flow to them, or maybe it's opening your mouth like me and like letting it flow through, the voice. It can be whatever, but let yourself be that conduit because that's how manifestation happens. This is why when people come up to me and I'm flowing in the spirit, they just fall out. I've never fallen out in my life, but they do because they're not used to receiving that much power or Holy Spirit. And when that happens, they just fall out. Now, if we can get used to it, if we can get used to how much we can hold and then release, then we won't have that same experience of just falling out when we get overcome by the Spirit. We will have this flow that comes through us, and more people will get touched, more people will get healed, more people. These things won't be weird. We won't go, oh my gosh, I saw someone get healed. That will just be like normal life. You know, when people now are like, oh yeah, Christine's known for resurrecting people. I'm just like, so what? It used to be, I thought that was the biggest deal in the world. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could possibly do that. And now it's like just normal life. And we need to have the spirit coming and manifesting is just normal life. That's just like, that's who we are. That's how we live. We are these beings of heaven. So we're talking about these heavenly beings all the time. We are heavenly beings too. Okay. So we just work with other heavenly beings. We are all heavenly beings. And so we need to just say, okay, who are the angels that are supposed to work with me in this area? And maybe it's a different area. Okay. I'm not trying to say everybody's like me, but I know I was told I have these 3 angels who work with me in delivering the power because I don't know how to do that. Okay. I haven't figured it out yet. And so they're equipped for this. Maybe I won't ever figure it out. Maybe it's not my job, but they have this job of delivering this power to different people, different areas, all of that. And when I don't know, so there are times, do you remember when Lisa came in? I was trying to explain to her, like, when you feel this, release it and ask the Lord, who is it supposed to go to? I don't know if I ever told you this, but as soon as this happened, she started doing that and she would feel all of it leave immediately. And so, and she was like, Christine, I can't believe this just worked. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, this is not that hard. And so she started doing that when she would feel this extreme pain that she wasn't able to get rid of. She would just ask, Lord, who's it supposed to go to? And she would just release it. And then it would go. And this happened. It was so cool. Very shortly after that is when I was in South Africa in the spirit. Okay. So I was arcing with Francois Boita, not your husband, but I was arcing with him at Power Town. And we were going through this stuff with the Lord said we were supposed to go to Power Town and produce the electricity there. Right. And so when that happened, like I didn't know what to do. I am a complete idiot when it comes to this stuff. But what I can do is I can listen to the Lord really well. And so that I can do. If he tells me what to do, I'm good and I can do that. And so we went there and I was just on Zoom with him and he was actually there in the physical. But all of a sudden there were like 150 angels who joined in to do this with us. And that was mind blowing to me because I'd never had that many at one time come and be a part of something. And so, anyway, all these angels came and it's like they were adding their power. So, all of us have this like deposit of the Father's power in us. And so, they were all coming with their power to join in. And I never told anybody I was doing this except for Francois because he was having to be like the physical one. But that next day, Lisa told me, by the way, it was middle of the night for me because we had to be there at a certain time there. So I woke up in the middle of the night to do this. Lisa told me she was awakened in the middle of the night with this horrible pain. And she asked the Lord, who am I supposed to send this to? And he said, you have to send it to Christine right now. And so she sent it to me, not knowing. She's like, maybe she needs healing. She had no idea, right? But this was the exact time that I was doing this thing with the electricity in South Africa. And anyway, it's amazing what happens when we pay attention and we partner in the spirit with other beings and other people. And we all go, okay, what am I supposed to do? And if you feel something like off, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be a pain in your body. It could be anything that happens that you're like, something's off here. Pay attention in the spirit and ask what you're supposed to do. Because it might be something that's really important for you. It might be something that's really important for somebody else. It might be some new thing that you're going to learn. I don't know. But this is something that we have to learn to figure out. You know, I'm still learning on a lot of stuff. And Okay, so the other day, Yahim had someone, like he lives in this town where almost everybody does witchcraft around him. So he's like the only believer that he knows in his area. So witchcraft is really normal there. For me, not normal at all. This is like I'm still learning all the things because I've not been exposed to it very much, except for when people attack me. But you know what I mean? It's not, I don't live in witchcraft land, so I don't really know. And so anyway, he was saying that someone hopped over their fence and did this like circling. They do this thing where they like circle the land or the house or whatever. I don't understand it all, but I think what they're doing is trying to claim territory to do certain spells there. And so I don't know, but this happened to him at his house and they did that. And after that, he started feeling on his body this presence that wouldn't leave. And it was like, you can tell, like evil kind of presence. And so he's like, hey, honey, will you pray over me? Of course, you know. So the one thing I am good at is getting rid of that stuff. So I don't understand it, but I can get rid of it. And so I started praying over him, and immediately, like the Lord, there are certain things that the Lord has taught me to do to get rid of people who are astral projecting or monitoring or anything like that. Okay. So I was in this place once where this was happening and I had no idea how to get rid of it. And I just went to the Father and I said, Father, please get rid of these people who are coming in my room. They're trespassing. And he just goes, you do it. Of course. He always does this to me. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it. And he said, okay, I'm going to remind you of a few things. And he reminded me that I'm a lion and I need to rise up and roar over them. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And then he's like, and remember, I gave you this fiery sword. You can block the portals with this fiery sword. And you can also cut their silver cord. And I was like, but Lord, that's not really nice. And he said, you need to threaten them that you will cut their silver cord if they don't leave. And I was like, okay. So anyway, these three things is what he reminded me to do. So as I was praying over Yahim, all of a sudden I rose up like a lion and I just roared over them. And all of it left his body. Like there was nothing. He didn't even know I was doing this. I just did this outside of talking to him and everything left. He is good. And we need to learn these little things just by not knowing what to do. We have to just figure it out by that. It's through relationship. Everything we do, we need, when there's something weird, we go, I don't know what to do. Let's ask the Lord. Like everybody gets tired of me saying, well, did you ask the Lord? But that's like how we grow. That's how we learn. I don't know. I feel like I can just say the more I know, the more I understand that I know nothing. Do you understand? Like, and it's okay. Like, it's okay that I know nothing because I have the one who does. And I just have to learn and grow with him. And it keeps me so connected with him that the more trials we go through, the more we're going to figure everything out. And so I don't remember who it was who was saying this. I think maybe River. Yeah, I think it was you who was saying that all of these things we are going through is not for nothing. It's like focusing on our lives is not so bad in learning about manifesting and all this, because every time we point our eyes to the heavens, every time we're focusing in on the Lord, it changes the frequency of this plane, right? And so that is a powerful thing, you guys. It really is. Because what happened, if you remember, I've told you about this before, but I don't know if you remember. So you guys know I do private appointments all the time. I do these classes, I do groups, all sorts of engaging stuff. And I do it primarily from my computer here. I do other places too, but this is like every day I'm at the computer on Zoom with people. And so over this place, it has gotten so thin, like the the barrier between heaven and earth is so thin that that's why I was having astral projection into my room, was not because that part was thin. It was because they were trying to figure out what was happening here to make it so thin. There was so much angelic presence going on. I was just like, really? That's what you're caring about? So it was strange, but yes, I do. I told you, like, Dustin used to get so annoyed because he'd have to sweep up all the feathers in the room all the time. And it's because this is a very thin space here where I do have angelic activity here all the time. I do have everything in the heaven. We're just together all the time. And so this is a thin place. I believe that the space over me is a thin place. Like, does this make sense? Like, no matter where I go, I've noticed. Yes, you know what? It's so funny. First time, I may have told you this. If I have, please forgive me. I told you my memory's not stellar. But the first time I ever went to South Africa, I was in Sasolburg doing this conference. And everybody started doing this weird, like, have I told you this? They're doing this weird thing. And I'm like, I'm thinking it's like some sort of weird South African greeting or something, because I don't know the culture. And so I just ignored and keep talking, but it's in the middle of me talking, doing all this stuff. And ends up afterwards, people are talking to me about it. And they're like, did you see all of these feathers everywhere? I'm like, what are you talking about? This was the first time the feather manifestation happened. So I didn't know anything about it. And they're like, look, we caught these feathers. And then I was like, that's what they were doing. And so there were feathers everywhere. And there were these they're like twirly feathers. Like, I don't know how to say, but then Lisa came up to me, who sees in the spirit really well. And she was like, did you see all the angels around that were just spinning? And I'm like, I did not see them. No. and she goes, there were all these angels around who are just spinning and spinning. And I said, that's interesting, because these people came up to me with these almost like whirlwind feathers. And she said, oh, I got one of those too, but I didn't want to say anything. And so anyway, it was so cute. But just to see how that happened. And I, at the time, very skeptical about all the supernatural things. Okay, I believe all the supernatural things, but some of these like manifestations I didn't believe in. And so I was like, yeah, right. It's probably some birds that got in. I do this. Okay. So I was like, I'm sure there are birds that got in here, but I didn't say
Was
that
this
to them because
inside a building that they were doing this?
yeah, it was
They were
inside a
pushing?
building. Yeah. It was in a great big sanctuary. And yeah, it was pretty goofy. But these things have now happened a ton. Everywhere I go, there's like, oh, River's been around at the Source building. Remember? Well, I think it was there when you were there, but there was like gold dust everywhere. We can never get the gold dust up because it's dust. It was like, if you try to dust something and it just like kind of flies back in the air and then eventually settles again. This is what happened in the Source sanctuary. There was constantly gold dust everywhere. And we had oil it was like dripping down the walls. And so then there were stained walls everywhere with oil. And the Lord told me, actually, it was so funny. He told me and Kim, both of us, that would happen, that oil would drip down the walls and people would come to see it and they'd come to know the Lord. And we're like, wow, that'll be cool. Thinking that'll happen like 5 years down the road. And literally within 2 days, that started happening. And we were like, oh, in fact, we were so dumbfounded by it. We didn't even recognize it was oil at first. We were like, where's the leak in the wall? This is weird. And so we're like trying to figure out how water's getting in. What, it hasn't rained. How would this happen? And we just went through all this and then we figured it out that it was oil. And we're like, oh yeah, the Lord told us this would happen. Anyway, go ahead, run to the bathroom. I know I'm getting off on tangents. Anyway, point is, you guys, we are made for manifesting. We are made to be conduits. We are made to be the ones who have the weird stuff come about, who have weird deposits in their bank accounts. When people would say that would happen, I would be like, must be nice. I honestly, I'm like, how come that never happens to me? And so now I understand it's because I was trying to do everything myself. I was trying to be the one to manifest. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I told you last week, I want to say it once again. My sister who keeps trying to manifest an apple as a joke with Josh is who can do it first. Never going to manifest that apple because they're doing it in their own power. Like they're trying to be spiritual beings who do it in their own power. I say that, but if the Lord says, hey, Kim, time to manifest an apple, you better be sure that's going to happen. Like it's going to happen. Because when the Lord shows us that these things need to happen, we partner with him and it's done. It's like there's no wondering. You don't have to go, oh, well, because this is what I was doing too. I did the same thing as she did when the Lord told me I had this power mountain and I was supposed to start manifesting electricity a long time ago. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I better practice. So I literally would try to practice, which never worked. But I would try to practice like turning on and off lights or something like that. That's super simple. I could never do that. But as soon as the Lord says, oh, here you go, time to do it, it works every time, every single time. And so I just have to partner with him when he says to do it. We want to practice all these things as spiritual beings. And all we need to do is go, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to do next? Because he's going to show you something. It was Myrna who you didn't know what we were engaging on, but I love when we say, hey, we're engaging the heavenly classroom. Oh, Elvika too, who you were led somewhere else. Like you were led to your mountain, you were led to a different room. It's great when that happens. It's not something that's, oh no, I'm not experiencing the heavenly classroom. No, if you're meant to go somewhere else, you better go somewhere else and do what you're led to do because it's going to be important. Like Myrna with these things in our brains. Come on. Like I need that. I want that. I wouldn't have experienced that if Myrna hadn't done her job. Right? Thank you. We all have to be willing to just go and do whatever we're led to do, even though we don't fully understand it. Because it's not that we're following our own understanding. Do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he will make the path straight, right? We know that scripture, but we tend to follow our own understanding anyway. And we need to just default right back to him every time. That is how we manifest. And so I appreciate practicing over our own lives and things we're going through. If you have things that need some sort of manifestation, by all means, put it out there and let's seek the Lord if it's time for manifesting. But if the Lord doesn't lead you to heal Dottie's finger, then don't pretend like you're doing it, because it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. So you can say, hey, anybody want to pray over this? And every time I will say, I'll see if the Lord shows me anything. That's what I say every time. I'll see if the Lord shows me anything. And if he does, I always partner. Okay, go ahead, Elvika.
I quickly want to share something that I wanted to share months ago. Way back when we were still doing intro to engaging heaven. Remember I used to do every single one, but the one specific one I missed that night. I couldn't. We were somewhere else or whatever. So I listened to the recording afterwards. I'm sharing this because it got to do with it was a revelation for me with timeline and also with manifestation, with healing. And in that specific one, you said at one stage you were engaging together and you said the Lord wants to heal somebody's arm, shoulder, left shoulder, arm. And when I was listening to the recording, when I heard it, immediately I went, because I really was struggling with this shoulder for a long time. And I said, it's for me, it's for me. And I just took it and I received it. And it was so interesting because usually afterwards people will say it was for me, and nobody said that. So it was, even though I wasn't there, um, the Lord sent that healing for me, and I received it with a recording afterwards. And that was so, yeah, it blessed me so. I shared it with Anna-Marie, and when you were talking a few lessons back about the timeline, I realized that's also, that was going back into the timeline. Yeah, and somebody also years ago, my daughter had allergies, and he prayed for her and she was healed. And he said, when the Lord shows, he heals. So that, yeah, that was just lovely.
That's awesome. I was thinking about this. I didn't say it to the 101 class, and now I'm thinking maybe I should have. But I'm going to say it to you guys in case this comes up for you. Okay, you guys know how, and I'm sorry, Dottie, you're going to have to hear this again. But you guys know how I have requested for homework to be turned in Friday before my Sabbath starts, right? I am telling you it's important. You guys, you didn't have to do anything this week, so cool. You know, you did your thing throughout the week. But my 101 class, only one person turned in their homework on Friday, and I didn't think she completed it because she also sent me stuff this morning. But nobody else turned in their home. Well, one person didn't turn in their homework at all, and the two other people turned it in late. Like one was this morning and one was last night. And I was very offended. Okay. I don't always get this way, but it was like I felt like nobody was honoring me at all, and I couldn't prepare for the class that I was supposed to teach because one of the things I'm supposed to do, I don't know if you guys know this, but when I'm teaching, I'm supposed to take the homework and have that be a part of the learning in the next class. So that's why we share different things. I usually have you guys share, so I'm not sharing something that's too private, but I usually have you guys share something that impacted you in the homework or how it went, so other people can learn from it. Okay, that's part of the class. But when I don't get it, I can't go over it to see if people aren't getting it, or, because there are times when people will turn something in. I'm like, oh, they totally missed the point of this and didn't really understand it. Or, here's a good thing that would probably help a lot of people that they went through. This is what happens when I go through the homework. And so whether it is some heavenly being turning it in or you guys turning it in, it doesn't ever matter as long as I can get what I need to get before the class, right? Well, if I don't have time for it, I don't have time for it. And when people turn in late, I don't have time for it. So I was offended by them. And so I went to the heavenly classroom, and everyone was so honoring because I honestly was like ready to give it all up. I'm telling you guys this. Dottie has heard a little, but I was ready to like screw teaching this dumb class if nobody's even caring. Okay, this is how I felt. And now that's terrible. I understand that was fleshly Chris, but this is me going, they don't care about me. Why should I be investing in them? And so I engage in the heavenly realms, and all of the heavenly beings were like so honoring, ready to learn, like the complete opposite of the rest of the class. And I was so blessed by them that the Lord, of course, changed my heart and told me I'm supposed to address it with the class. And so I did address it with the class. But one thing I didn't tell them that I maybe should have, but I haven't taught on the timeline stuff yet, is that if anything ever happens to you where you can't do that, for instance, first of all, it's easy to just tell me that so I can plan for it. But you can also engage the timeline. So you can do it Saturday night, and then Ask the Lord to take you back to before Sabbath for me to turn it in. Like, you can do that. You can engage the timeline. Please use it wisely. Like, this is what is, I mean, we aren't beings that have to stay stuck in time like this, right? And so if you need to do that, it's okay to go back. Even if you miss a week, it's okay to go back on the timeline to be there. You know, you can do that. And so, I kind of miss homework. Yeah, good. You know why? Okay. The reason I'm glad you do is because that's the most important part of this whole class is the homework. And so that's why I was telling them earlier about, you know, if you invest in going through the questions and engaging over everything, you will grow. Like, it's guaranteed. Not only will you grow, you will accelerate. The Lord has shown me all of this. The teaching part isn't the best part. The best part is the part where you're engaging with Him in the heavenly realms, going through the growth, going through the learning, going through the executing. All of that's the good part. And so, anyway, yes, thank you. I'm glad that you said that, Nydia. So when you work on manifesting over each other, okay, I want to give an example. Say Alvika. Well, both, by the way, I want you to know when I said the thing about you partnering with death and you said it was spot on, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I was so clever, because that came from the Lord. It didn't come from me. So I know that's what it was. Like, of course that's what it was, because that came from the Lord. I didn't ever think, oh man, she's partnering too much with death. I never thought that. The Lord just said, this is what she's doing. You need to tell her. And so when we are
I
ministering,
knew that. I knew that. That was such a confirmation. That was actually a faith builder for me, because sometimes you think, "Ugh, is all this stuff really working?" That was like, hello, yes, this is real.
that's awesome. But that's how we should minister to one another, is pay attention in the spirit while someone's talking to you. So even when I'm talking to you, I hope you're paying attention in the spirit and not just receiving what I'm saying. I hope that the Lord is like imparting things to you. And sometimes He'll impart things to you over me. And then sometimes He'll impart things to you that have nothing to do with you or me. And it'll be someone else or something else or whatever. It could be over your own life, but you just need to make sure that your spiritual antenna are up. Like, that's the whole point, is that we are constantly paying attention. And I was saying this earlier, but this is so important for me. I don't always pay attention in the spirit. I have like plenty of time when I'm not paying attention in the spirit. Okay. I'll be watching a show on TV with my Soren and not even thinking about the spirit at all. I'm just going to be honest. Okay. But I have asked Holy Spirit to nudge me when I need to pay attention. And I've asked angels to manifest so they get my attention. And they do. Literally, the only time I see angels manifest in this realm is when they're trying to get my attention for something. And so I don't see them manifesting very often in this realm. Like, when I see them in the spirit usually. I don't see them with my eyes. But when I do see them with my eyes, I know, oh crap, Chris, pay attention, put those spiritual antenna up. What's going on? And so when that happens, I have to pay attention. And sometimes it's for something awesome, and sometimes it's for something not awesome. But whatever the case is, they're getting my attention for a reason. So use your heavenly beings, use the angels, ask them, hey, can you just manifest when I'm really supposed to pay attention? When I'm not doing a good job of paying attention, but I need to, because some of you are very good at that. And like, you're really good at paying attention just as the Lord leads. I am oblivious a lot of the time. Okay. So I have a lot of time that I'm like, oh, wow, I just got attacked by something. And so I just don't even notice half the time unless I have help noticing. And so, yeah, if you're like me and not totally gifted in the noticing, ask angels to help, ask Holy Spirit to help. Let this be something that happens because we need to have those moments of, oh, right. And so when we are like listening to the things that are going on in each other's lives, like on Signal, don't just do what you think is a good idea. Like, I don't know. I honestly have not been paying very much attention. I was at a big business conference for the last couple of days. And so I was totally focused. We call it our pink bubble. That means nothing can come in, nothing can go out. This is our pink bubble. Mary Kay, okay. Anyway, so I'm trying not to pay attention to anybody else. I'm trying to only be in my pink bubble. And so anyway, when people share something, if Elvika shares something with me about her life and the Lord starts showing me something or whatever, maybe he doesn't start showing me something, but I have compassion over her or something. Let's pretend like Elvika said, my finances are in the gutter. I need help. I will not ever go. Okay. Elvika's like, yes, please. I'm saying yes. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Here's an example. I am not going to now go and decide what you need. I'm not going to go, I declare abundance over you. Okay. I'm not going to do that because I'm not led to do that. So when I'm led to do that, I will 100% do that. But I'm going to go, okay, Lord, is there anything that I can partner with you over her life? And he will start showing me things or not. Okay. So if he starts showing me things, usually it's not what I think it's going to be. It might be that there's some random dragon that has its tail wrapped around her. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do? And then all of a sudden I see myself with a sword chopping it off. Okay. That literally has happened many times to me. It might happen like that. Or it might be, oh, you need to go to the treasure room. Oh, I have a lot of gold coins. What am I supposed to do? Oh, you're supposed to sprinkle them over her mountain. Okay, I'll do that. It might be that I see witchcraft over her mountain and I have to rip it out of the atmosphere and stomp on it. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to be like, but I'm not going to operate in the spirit outside of Yeshua. So if he's not showing me, I'm not doing it. Okay. I'm not going to declare and decree things over her life that I don't know that the Lord has released out of the courts of heaven. So I want to only declare and decree the things that the Lord has released out of the courts of heaven and put that over her life. Absolutely. But that's something he has to show me that I'm supposed to do. Because even then it's going to look different. I may not declare and decree. I might like roll out a scroll over her finance mountain or something. I don't know. I might go and speak words of encouragement over her husband. You know, I have no idea what the Lord is going to tell me to do, but I need to only pay attention to that. And so let us, when we are those conduits, when we are the people who are ministering over others for manifestation in their life, we will see breakthrough all the time if we partner with the Lord. I'm telling you, people book these appointments with me. When I first started doing this, I'm just going to be blunt here. I was like, oh shit, what if they pay money and nothing happens? Like, this was a legitimate concern for me. Like, they're paying money to see me, and what if what they want doesn't happen? Then I'm like, it was very, like, lots of anxiety around this for me. But now I know, every time I tell them, okay, so you're looking for healing for your son, for finances for your family, you're looking to get help with the coworker who hates you. Okay, so we have this list of stuff. So I'm going to say, we're going to focus in on these things and then just do as the Lord leads. So he knows better than we do every time. So if he has us only focus on one thing, that's what we're going to focus on. and I make sure people know that. And then that's all that happens. And let me tell you, every time, huge breakthrough. It's never what I think it's going to look like. And it is huge breakthrough every time, every single time. There's never been an appointment I've had where I'm like, well, that was worthless. Never. And it's because I only will do what I see the Lord doing. I will not partner with anything just because someone wants it. I will only do what I see the Lord doing. Yeshua said he only did what he saw the Father doing. And that's how he was without sin. It wasn't because he followed all of the law of Moses, right? Because he didn't. He healed on the Sabbath. He didn't wash his hands after stuff. He went and someone who was supposed to be stoned let him go. He did not follow the law of Moses. According to the Jews, he would have been a sinner. According to the Lord, he was not a sinner because he only did what he saw the Father doing. And so let us be those people that we only do what we see the Father doing. Then we will be masters of manifestation. And it won't be because we're awesome. It'll be because we're just pretty good at following, right? We can be pretty good at following. I know that that's the only reason he chose me to be an intercessor and lead people in the heavenly realms. It's because I had no idea what I was doing. If I had an idea of what I was doing, he wouldn't have chose me to be that person. He only chose me because all I knew is how to follow Yeshua. And so that's all I do. And now
That is the first time. It's like you hit the nail on the head. It is the first time I ever thought that Jesus wasn't perfect because he just did everything, obeying and politely. He did what the Father. Why did he go off to have to pray? Why did he have to go? Because he's seeing what the Father's doing. And
yes.
although, so yeah, healing, that would have been against the law. That was a sin. All these things were sins according to them.
Right.
According to what, if God gave them these laws. But I had a question about when he did something. It just flew out. But that was just really, really cool. If it comes back, if you don't mind, I'll just put it in the chat. Because there's a question, was that not a sin, but something? It'll come back.
Well, River.
Yeah. You've been saying stuff that is just like kind of like reading my whole week. And so I, finally posted something on Signal today, feeling a little guilty that it was like the last day, and at the same time also knowing that that was really the way the Lord wanted me to do it. So I'm glad I wasn't part of the like making you feel bad, because that was 101 and not 301. But I knew that was how it had to happen. And after I posted it, I went back and started, I went back to court, and it had to do with dealing with my ex-husband, and went through this process, and I ended up taking the scroll, getting it recorded, and then going to my mountain, and Yeshua got put on the throne of my family mountain. And then while he was there, like as my partner, which was part of what I put in my thing. I know it was so late that nobody probably listened to it, but then I saw these little children around us, like in the periphery, because I was just close to Yeshua, and I kind of left it at that. But I went back later to engage more about it, and they were my children. And the process of like having Yeshua on the throne of my family mountain meant that my children, and this is like a timeline thing, which I had never done a lot of that before, was like each one of my children coming up and being fathered by Yeshua, because the fathers that they did not have the ability to be healthy fathers for them. And each one of them in that process, and my mind, as I'm standing next to him and he's going through this process and holding each one of them, and they're processing, and they're little, and I'm thinking of other things that happened later in their life. And he turns to me and he tells me, he says, we'll get there, but this is what we're doing now. We're setting it up. And so anyway, I just wanted to share all that because partly because the Lord kept telling me I needed to share it. So um, anyway, just that's what I wanted to share, is that the process of I don't know, just listening to him and not expecting it to be one way, that it, because it's that way with other people or something like that. Yeah. So
That's awesome. Thank you. Awesome. You guys have any other things to share about the manifesting this week?
and I just want to say that the Father said to me, it's like that is manifesting, because there's healing manifesting with my family on my family mountain in this process. And some of the manifesting I may not see today in the relationship, but it will happen. And so, and then again, it's also what we have talked about earlier in this class, about how when we do those things in heaven, it does change the frequency of what's happening on the earth. So patience and just like one foot in front of the other.
I just have to tell you what this reminds me of. And I'm glad you said this, but I was thinking about this earlier with you, Elvika. When you were talking about your mezuzah and how you're finding it and all that. And I was thinking about this because, do you remember, you guys? Do you remember me telling you that I've done a court case years and years ago about all things lost and stolen, right? So that has been such a big deal to my family and everyone in my family. It's been crazy. But I was thinking about that when you were talking about how doing those things in the heavenly realms, it changes the frequency of things. And do you know, I mean, we talked a bit about this last week, that changing the frequency of things is what manifests things. Do you understand that? So I was thinking about this with my dog. It wasn't my dog, it was Linda's dog at the time. But do you remember me telling the story about how we got home and her dog was gone? And it was like, oh crap. And we went searching everywhere and all this stuff, right? Long story short, then hello, why have I been searching without even going back to this court thing? So I'm like, okay, Lord, standing on the back porch. Okay, Lord, there's been contempt of court. You said that all things lost and stolen would be returned back to me immediately. So it's time that you just take care of the enemy, because he's been messing around. And so then I open my eyes and the dog is right at my feet. Well, I'm telling you, think about this. If changing the frequency helps things manifest, of course the dog would hear, come back, and it would come to me, right? This would happen because we all are communicating with frequency anyway. And so if that's true, that what we do in the heavenly realms affects the frequency in the earth, then of course that stuff will happen, because we are calling that frequency. That's what we're doing. We're like making that happen. And so anything that we do, of course, these things will come to pass if we're changing the frequency of it in the heavens, because then it manifests on the earth. And there are times when the Lord leads me. This happened the other day. You guys remember Ola? Most of you were in class with Ola. So I was meeting with Ola and her husband, Debo, and we were going through some deep inner healing stuff with Debo. And because of that, some of the things that are happening in their life today has been a huge struggle. And we didn't know there was a connection until the Lord just revealed the connection. So then we needed to go through this inner healing with him. And then all that they needed could manifest. Well, so we're going through this, and the Lord's showing me to release it from heaven to earth, say on earth as it is in heaven. And that, all of this, give us this day our daily bread, because they needed this certain amount for this court case and all of this that wasn't there. So we're asking for this. And then the Lord says to me, Christine, you need to have Debo receive it in this realm, what's being released from the heavenly realms. So of course I'm like, okay, Debo, you have to just open your hands to receive what's being released to you from heaven into the earth. So when you are praying on earth as it is in heaven, be ready to receive. And sometimes the Lord has us do that. And I think it is because the frequency of our body here has to come in line with the frequency in heaven. And so we have to be able to be the receiver too. So as you're praying through things, be sensitive to that. Do I need to, from this realm, also be the receiver of everything from heaven? Because sometimes this part of us is not totally connected to the other part because of, some disunity we have within ourselves, right? And so let's just make sure that that's something that happens. Elvika, go ahead.
I want to add something to that. When I was doing that summary, that really hit me because you said we have to speak it faithfully. In other words, you have to believe it in your heart. You can't say one thing, because for a very long time, a few of us, our friends, we were on this speak life journey. So we were just speaking life all the time. And then sometimes I thought, you know what, this is not working. And then I realized it's because the real frequency comes through. So if you say something, but you think something different, opposite, or your heart is, then that's not the frequency that's gonna, the real one gets over. And that's so important.
Yeah.
It's not just speaking it, it's like really speaking it faithfully, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I've seen this in my own body because I started changing, like a couple years ago. I started changing how I was speaking about and to my body, because I had a tendency to constantly condemn my body for everything. I think I've told you this, but I still struggle with this. I still struggle, but I noticed I had been doing it for a long time, like intentionally speaking life, and intentionally speaking good things. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this. I love you, blah, 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 whatever. And then one day I was meeting with this doctor, and he's the best. He's one of these guys that just somehow gets to the soul issue of everything. And he believes everything in the body is connected to the soul. I'm not so sure he's wrong. And he said to me, okay, don't think about it. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. And he said, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about your body? And immediately what popped in my head was, I hate you. And I was like, it even made me sad because I didn't even say it out loud, because that was the first thing that popped in my mind. And I was like, but I hate you, and I felt terrible. But my subconscious thinks that I hate my body. That is what subconsciously is sitting there, and certainly unconsciously. And so even though consciously I'm trying to speak the good things, I unconsciously still believe this. I subconsciously still believe that I hate my body. And, I realized the other day, I sent a picture to someone, and it was just from our Mary Kay thing, and it was a bunch of us. And this person said to me, wow, you're the most beautiful one out of the whole group. And I was like, that is a lie. Like, immediately I was like, no, not even close, And I am thinking, how is this person so screwed up that they think that? And I am literally like 100% believing that that person is messed up or lying. There was nothing in me that thought that might be true. No, it was. And I said, like, that is just not even true. And they said, I didn't know you thought so poorly of yourself. And I was like, well, I guess that's a thing still. And I realized I still do always think the worst things about my body. And yes, go ahead, Dottie. Or you said you do too. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I'm saying same here because I felt like when I was young and my sister said, "Oh, look at your hips and look at your stomach," and stuff. One said something about the hips and another one, your pants are separating. When I was 12, in front of this boy that we both had a crush on across the street, and she was 3 years older than me, but he was like a year older than me, and just big crush, first crush ever. Thank you, 12 and 13. And then my other sister said while I was growing up, because I was somewhat, her friend said that when you're so skinny, when you get pregnant, you're going to look like a toothpick with an olive on it or a pretzel with a something on it. I was like, that sounds ugly to me. And who wants to be thinking about pregnant when you're like 9 years old or whatever? And so when I went up, so when I started, my stomach, I would have to hold it in because I didn't want to look like pregnant. And if that's where the fat's going to go, you're going to look pregnant. And I remember coming back from communion and Harriet's like, I can tell you're holding your stomach in. Don't hold your stomach in. I can tell you're just holding it in. And she struggled with weight all her life, but I struggled with weight too, because I pictured mom with these skinny legs and big belly because of her 6 kids. And I still picture myself all up front and I can't breathe. And it's like I can't fit in my clothes. So I have this horrible self-image. And I was talking with my next door neighbor yesterday. She invited us over for lunch and she's like, oh, she says, I'm so sorry I didn't have a chance to make lunch, dessert. I said, I'm so stuffed I can't even fit it. And I went like this. And I said, I can't fit into my clothes lately. I have to go out and buy clothes. I have a closet full of clothes. I can't breathe in any of my clothes. And I have to go to a wedding, 3 things at night, 1 during the day, 4 eating things in 3 nights, in 3 days I have to eat. I'm like, I don't have to overeat though. But in my mindset, I'm like, I'm fearing I take advantage. I love food. And it's like, wow, I don't have to cook it. Then I love the smorgasbord, and trying different things. And if she's paying so much money per person, yes, of course I want to take advantage of all the different things. But I have such a horrible self-image. I would never, my husband will sit next to me showing, with his shirt off while we're playing Carcassonne. I'm like, guys just really don't care about their bodies. There was no way I would sit there, if I walk in front of him naked throughout the house or throughout here, I'm hoping he's just staring at the TV, but he's like, hey, hello, beautiful, whatever, something. If he says anything, it would be positive. It's a rare thing for him to comment on it. But I feel like, don't look at me because you see everything all over. And I totally have that horrible mindset. And it sounds like when I was in Way Down workshop, someone was like, well, you don't even understand. You're skinny. I'm like, no, I'm a skinny fat baby. Because up here, it looks okay. But when you can't breathe and it's up underneath your rib cage and you can't breathe and you're lying down, you can't breathe, it doesn't matter. It's the whole mindset. How do we change that? Because when you said something, Christine, last week or the week before, I thought, no, God sees you as this wonderful, when you were saying something about chubby. And I told this to somebody else because I didn't want to interrupt you at the time. I'm like, no, he sees you as this wonderful, he doesn't even think about that at all. And it's not like, oh, I'm dismissing that and putting to the side. It reminded me of my pastor's wife who has this picture of this voluptuously wonderful, what we would call too much. And my English teacher, history teacher said, her dad said, who wants to hug a bag of bones? No, you want some meat on you. Nobody wants to hug a bag of bones. That's what's loving and fun. And I don't feel senses that way. It's like, wow, I couldn't believe her. I mean, her dad said that. But she had this woman because back in the Henri Matisse time, it was more beautiful to not be thin. It meant you were wealthy and, that was only the wealthiest people. That's exactly how I saw it. God sees you. Totally beautiful. It's like, wow, why would you want that compared to you? Anyway, I can totally see that the person totally meant that, because you are extremely beautiful, and not even though you're extremely beautiful with everything. And I've been telling my fat, I'm so thankful for you, fat, touching it. And I'm trying to believe it, because I still have that worldly stupid mentality. So tell us how to
Well,
get it out.
let's ask the Lord. I mean, this has to be part of the identity stuff too. But let's just ask the Lord to show us, because this is what I've had to do and I'm still doing it, but it's helped me. Even though I told you I didn't believe that about myself, it has helped me when Yeshua made me every day see what he saw, which was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. He made me. He said, I see you like this, and now I need your eyes to see you like this. So I had to keep doing that. And maybe I need to go back to it still. But that's something that we have to change how we see ourselves in order for that frequency to come through. Because it won't. If I just go to the mirror and I'm like, yeah, beautiful, 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 that's not going to do anything. It has to be like, I am seeing him doing that to me. You know, I am seeing him, because if I get my identity from the Lord, I always believe it. I don't know if you're like that, but I believe what he says about me. Probably because he put me in my place one time about it, but it's made a big impact on me. And so if he says it, then I'm like, okay, that's who I am. And that's why I have to have that list. And you know what I need to add to that list is beautiful, because I have not added that to my list. So anyway, okay. I hate to do this, but I have right now Kingdom Builders that's starting 3:00. Okay. So I have to get on a different channel. If you guys are part of Kingdom Builders, go to the post and it has the link, but I love you guys. I have to go. Okay. Bye. I'm so sorry.
Love you.